The Lexington Avenue line smells like piss and brake dust. Always has, probably always will. I'm halfway through replacing a burnt-out signal relay at the 86th Street station when my phone buzzes. Not the work phone. The personal one I keep checking even though Marcus hasn't called in 4 months. Since the custody hearing where his mom's lawyer made me sound like I prioritized track maintenance over my own kid. Which, okay, maybe I did miss that science fair. And yeah, the camping trip got canceled because of that derailment in Queens. But someone's gotta keep 300 miles of 100-year-old tunnel from collapsing. And the MTA sure as hell doesn't pay overtime for sitting in bleachers watching volcano projects. The text isn't from Marcus. It's from Jen, his mom. Have you heard from him? Not answering his phone. I wipe grease off my hands, DeWalt work gloves, the yellow ones that actually last, and call her back. She picks up on the first ring. He's probably just got his phone off. I say, which is what you're supposed to say. What you say when you don't want to admit your 16-year-old stopped taking your calls after you forgot to pick him up from basketball practice. Twice. Derek, he went urban exploring. With those kids from his photography class. Her voice has that edge. The one that means she's already decided I fucked up somehow. They were going into the old City Hall station. The abandoned one. My stomach drops like a broken elevator. Jesus Christ, Jen. That station's been sealed since the 40s. Well, apparently someone unsealed it. There's a whole Instagram page dedicated to. When did he go down? This morning. Around 10. I check my watch. 6:47 p.m. Almost 9 hours. The old City Hall loop hasn't seen maintenance in decades. Could be anything down there. Structural failures. Live rails nobody bothered to disconnect. Rats the size of cats. I've worked for the MTA for 23 years, and I know exactly how many ways the subway can kill you if you don't respect it. I'm going down, I say. Derek, shouldn't we call? Call who? NYPD's gonna tell you to wait 24 hours for a missing person. I can be at City Hall in 30 minutes. That's not entirely true. I'm supposed to finish this relay replacement, file the paperwork, check out with my supervisor. But Marcus is down there, and suddenly that science fair doesn't seem so goddamn important compared to the fact that my kid might be trapped in a condemned station with a bunch of teenagers and their phone cameras. I shove my tools back into my belt, Klein pliers, my dad's old mag light that still works better than any LED piece of crap, and head for the service stairs. My supervisor, Patterson, is gonna write me up for leaving mid-shift, but Patterson can kiss my ass. He's got 2 daughters who actually talk to him. The express train down to Brooklyn Bridge is packed with evening commuters. Nobody makes eye contact. Everyone's on their phones, living in their own little bubbles while they ride through tunnels maintained by people like me who they never think about until something goes wrong. Which it does constantly, but we're good at patching it before anyone notices. I text Jen going in. We'll call when I find him. She doesn't respond. Probably already talking to her lawyer about how I'm being reckless. How I'm going to get Marcus and myself killed because I can't follow proper channels. But proper channels don't know shit about the old stations. I do. I've been in most of them. South Ferry before they renovated it, the abandoned platforms at Hoyt-Schermerhorn, even the trolley terminal under the Williamsburg Bridge that nobody remembers exists. The train lurches to a stop at Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. The conductor's voice crackles over the intercom. This is Brooklyn Bridge City Hall. Watch the closing doors. I'm out before most people are even standing. The platform is cleaner than most. This station gets tourists who actually use the trash cans, but it's still got that subway smell. Hot metal and human sweat, and something organic rotting in the track bed. The old City Hall loop is accessible through a maintenance tunnel near the southern end of the downtown platform. There's supposed to be a locked gate, but knowing these urban explorer kids, they probably found a way around it. They always do. YouTube's full of videos showing exactly where the MTA's security gaps are, like it's a fucking treasure map for idiots. I reach the gate. It's not just unlocked, it's open, the padlock cut clean through with bolt cutters. Fresh scratches on the metal. Marcus was definitely here. The maintenance tunnel beyond is dark. I click on my maglite. The beam cuts through darkness that feels thicker than normal somehow. More solid. The walls are covered in that white efflore. Wait, that's not efflorescence. Efflorescence is chalky dry. This is fuzzy. Like mold, but wrong. The patches glow faintly in my flashlight beam, pale blue-green, like those mushrooms you see in nature documentaries about rainforests. I've seen mold in the tunnels before. It grows anywhere there's moisture and no sunlight, feeding on God knows what. but I've never seen it glow. Never seen it spread across the walls in patterns that look almost like veins spreading from a central point. Something moves in the darkness ahead. Fast. Low to the ground. I freeze, hand going to the radio clipped to my belt. But I don't call it in yet. Can't explain why. Maybe because calling it in means admitting something's wrong, and I'm not ready to do that. Not until I find Marcus. The movement comes again. A rat, probably. Rats don't bother me. They're more scared of humans than we are of them, usually. But this rat is making a weird sound. Not squeaking. More like wheezing. Labored breathing, like its lungs are clogged with something. It runs past my feet, and I get a good look at it. My stomach clenches. The rat's fur is matted with the same glowing fuzz. Its movements are jerky, uncoordinated, not the usual fluid scurry of a healthy rat. It stumbles against the wall, twitches violently, then keeps moving. Sick. Dying probably. But still moving. Jesus, I whisper. The rat vanishes into a crack in the wall, leaving a trail of glowing spores that hang in the air like dandelion seeds. I watch them drift, my maintenance worker brain trying to categorize what I'm seeing. Fungal growth. Bioluminescent. Parasitic? The rat's behavior was all wrong. Rats that sick usually hide somewhere dark to die, not run around spreading whatever's killing them. My phone buzzes. Jen again. Police won't go down until morning. Said it's too dangerous at night. I text back, I'm already in the tunnel. We'll find him. Her response is immediate. Derek, please be careful. That's the first time she said please to me in 8 months. I move deeper into the tunnel. The fungal growths get thicker. They're concentrated around the ventilation grates, I notice. Feeding on the airflow, maybe. Or spreading through it. The patches pulse faintly, not breathing, just the way bioluminescent organisms do. Chemical reactions creating light. My radio crackles. Not someone calling me, just static. Interference from something. The deeper I go, the worse it gets. White noise that makes it hard to think straight. The tunnel opens into the old City Hall station platform. I've been here before, years ago, on an official inspection tour. It's beautiful in a haunted way. Vaulted tile ceilings, decorative arches, brass fixtures that haven't been polished since Truman was president. The MTA keeps talking about reopening it as a museum piece, but they never do. Too expensive to bring it up to code. Now it looks like something from a horror movie. The fungal growth has covered everything. The walls, the ceiling, the old wooden benches. It glows brighter here, bright enough that I can see without my flashlight. Bright enough that I can see the bodies. 3 kids. Teenagers. They're lying on the platform, not moving. The fungus has grown over them, into them. I can see it threading through their clothes, their hair. One of them still has a camera around her neck. The lens is cracked. I force myself to move closer, checking for pulses even though I know what I'm going to find. The first kid, a boy maybe 17, is cold. Dead for hours. The fungus has colonized his respiratory system. I can see fruiting bodies emerging from his nose and mouth. The second kid is the same. Dead. Suffocated, probably, once the fungus blocked her airways enough. The third. She's breathing. Barely. Shallow, rattling breaths. Her eyes are half open, pupils blown wide. Unresponsive. The fungus is thinner on her, hasn't taken over as completely. Maybe she got exposed later than the others. Hey, I say, kneeling beside her. Can you hear me? No response. Just those terrible shallow breaths and the wet sound of fluid in her lungs. I grab my radio. This is Vaughn Maintenance. I need emergency medical at the old City Hall loop. Multiple casualties, possible biological hazard. One survivor needs immediate. The radio dies. Not just interference, completely dead. Like something drained the battery. I try my phone. No signal. We're too deep, too isolated. The old station was built before they worried about cell coverage. Marcus, I shout. My voice echoes weirdly in the vaulted space. Marcus, are you down here? A sound from the far end of the platform. Coughing. Wet, horrible coughing. I run toward it, my boots splashing through puddles that glow with suspended spores. Around the curved platform, past the old token booth, into the shadows beyond the station lights. Marcus is there, sitting against the wall, doubled over, coughing so hard his whole body convulses. The Knicks jersey, Carmelo Anthony, number 7, is soaked with sweat. His hands are covered in the glowing fungus. Marcus. I drop to my knees beside him. Hey, it's Dad. I'm here. We're getting out. He looks up at me. His eyes are bloodshot, watering. But they focus on my face. He recognizes me. That's something. Dad. His voice is hoarse, barely audible. Can't breathe right. Something's wrong. I can see the fungus growing on his neck, his face. Not as thick as the dead kid's, but spreading. Fast. Way too fast for any normal biological process. I know, buddy. I know. We're gonna get you to a hospital, okay? Can you stand? He tries. Gets halfway up before another coughing fit drops him back to his knees. When he pulls his hands away from his mouth, there's blood. And spores. Glowing blue-green mixed with red. The others, he wheezes. Tried to help them. But they stopped breathing and I couldn't. You did what you could. That's all anyone can do. I'm lying. What he could have done was not break into a condemned station to take photos for Instagram. But that's not helpful right now. Can you walk if I help you? Don't know. Feel really bad, Dad. I get his arm around my shoulders, my arm around his waist. He's heavier than I remember. When did he get this big? But I managed to get him upright. His breathing sounds wrong. Wet and crackling, like his lungs are filling with fluid. We make it maybe 20 feet before he collapses. Just drops like someone cut his strings, taking me down with him. His breathing is getting worse, more labored. The fungus on his face is visibly spreading. I can see it growing in real time, extending tiny filaments across his cheek toward his eyes. My radio crackles back to life. Not Patterson. A woman's voice, professional and clipped. Unidentified person in City Hall loop. This is Major Sarah Smith, National Guard. If you can hear this, you need to evacuate immediately. The biological contamination is level 4. Do not attempt rescue of infected individuals. Repeat, evacuate immediately. I grab the radio. This is Derek Vaughn, MTA Maintenance. I have my son here. He's alive but infected. We need medical extraction. Static. Then, Mr. Vaughn, anyone showing symptoms has been exposed to lethal spore concentrations. The organism has a 100% mortality rate once respiratory colonization begins. I'm sorry, but your son cannot be saved. You need to leave now before you're infected too. Fuck you. I'm not leaving him. Mr. Vaughn. I turn the radio off. Marcus is looking at me with those bloodshot eyes, and I can tell he heard. Can tell he knows what that woman just said. Dad, he whispers. You should go. Not happening. Please. Don't wanna get you killed too. I pull him close, careful not to touch the fungal growth, but holding him as tight as I can. He's shaking. 16 years old and dying in an abandoned subway station because I wasn't there when he needed me. Wasn't there for the science fair, the basketball games, the custody hearing. Always too busy with track maintenance and signal repairs and all the bullshit that seemed important until right fucking now. I'm not leaving, I say again. We're getting out together, or we're not getting out at all. It takes me 15 minutes to half-drag, half-carry Marcus back to the maintenance tunnel. 15 minutes of listening to his breathing get worse, watching the fungus spread further across his skin. His lips are turning blue, not from the fungus, from lack of oxygen. Whatever this thing does, it's suffocating him from the inside. The maintenance tunnel is worse than before. The fungal growth has spread across the walls like someone painted it there. The air is thick with spores. I can see them drifting in my flashlight beam, thousands of tiny glowing particles that catch the light like dust motes. I'm breathing them in. I know I am. But if Marcus is dying anyway, what's the point of saving myself? That's stupid thinking. Jen's voice in my head, from every argument we ever had about my hero complex. You can't help anyone if you're dead, Derek. That's not heroism, it's just stupidity. She was right. Usually was, which is why the divorce hurt so much. I prop Marcus against the tunnel wall and pull out the respirator mask I keep in my equipment belt. Standard issue for work in areas with poor ventilation or chemical leaks. It's not designed for biological hazards, but it's better than nothing. Put this on, I tell Marcus, fitting the mask over his face. He doesn't resist, too weak to do anything but breathe. The mask fogs immediately with each labored exhale. My phone buzzes. Somehow, impossibly, I have signal. The message is from an unknown number. Mr. Vaughn, this is Major Smith. I'm tracking your location through the MTA's emergency transponder system. You're currently 400 yards from the nearest surface exit. I need you to listen carefully. I text back one-handed while supporting Marcus. He's dying. Can't move fast. I know. The organism is a modified cordyceps variant. It colonizes respiratory tissue and reproduces through spore dispersal. Once symptoms appear, death occurs within 6 to 8 hours. Your son was exposed approximately 9 hours ago. I stare at the message. 9 hours. He's already past the survival window. Another text. We've been monitoring this outbreak for 3 weeks. Initial contamination was in the abandoned South Ferry Station. The organism spread through the ventilation system before we realized how aggressive it was. We thought we had time to establish containment protocols without causing public panic. We were wrong. So you just let it spread? Let kids wander into infected areas? The old stations were supposed to be sealed. We had security posted at all known access points. But the organism grows through ventilation ducts, spreads to areas we didn't know were connected. Your son and his friends entered through a grate in the basement of a building on Worth Street. A route we didn't know existed. Great. Wonderful. So now what? A longer pause. Then, the CDC has authorized emergency containment protocols. At 0300 hours, we begin flooding the contaminated sections with fire-retardant foam. It will seal the tunnels and suffocate the organism. Anyone remaining inside will not survive. I check my watch. 8:43 p.m. That gives me 6 hours and 17 minutes. What about the active stations? There are thousands of people in the subway system right now. We've issued evacuation orders. All trains are being diverted to surface terminals. The system will be empty by midnight. Except for my son. Mr. Vaughn, I understand this is difficult, but your son is already gone. The organism has colonized his lungs. Even if you got him to a hospital, there's no treatment. The fungal growth can't be removed without destroying the host tissue. I'm sorry, but the kindest thing you can do is make him comfortable while you still can. I look at Marcus. The respirator mask is fogged with blood now. His eyes are closed, his breathing so shallow I can barely see his chest moving. The fungus has spread to his eyelids, his forehead. In the blue-green glow, he looks like something from a nature documentary. A host being consumed by a parasite. But he's still breathing, still alive. There has to be something. Experimental treatments, anything. There's nothing. We've lost 17 people so far, including 3 CDC researchers. The organism is too aggressive. I'm sorry. I put the phone away. The tunnel ahead is completely coated in fungus now, walls, ceiling, floor. Walking through it means wading through spores, breathing them in with every step. But Marcus needs surface air. Needs a hospital, even if it's hopeless. I pull off my work shirt and tie it around my face, makeshift filter. Then I lift Marcus in a fireman's carry. Learned that in the MTA's emergency response training. Never thought I'd use it on my own kid. And start walking. The tunnel is longer than I remember. Every step kicks up spores that glow and drift in the still air. My makeshift mask is already soaked with sweat and probably useless anyway. But I keep walking because the alternative is sitting down and watching Marcus die in the dark. My phone buzzes again. Different number this time. Patterson. Vaughn, what the hell are you doing? You're showing up on every emergency tracker in the system. Get out of there. I don't respond. Patterson's a good guy, but he follows rules. Can't understand why someone would break protocol to save their kid. Another buzz. Jen, the police called. Said you're in the contaminated zone. Derek, please. Marcus wouldn't want you to die too. She's right. Marcus said exactly that, barely an hour ago. But I'm his father. I don't get to make the easy choice. The tunnel opens into a larger junction, multiple passages branching off in different directions. The fungal growth is concentrated here, so thick it's dripping from the ceiling in luminous stalactites. The air is visibly hazy with spores. I'm definitely infected now. Definitely dying. But so is Marcus, and at least we'll die together. At least he won't be alone. A noise echoes through the junction. Mechanical. Rhythmic. Then I see it. A train, pulling into the junction from one of the connecting tunnels. Old R32, silver sides covered in graffiti. The same kind that ran these lines in the 80s. But there's no operator. The cab is empty. And the train is covered in fungus, coating the exterior, growing through the door mechanisms and wheel assemblies. The train stops. Just sits there, engine idling, lights flickering. Waiting. My phone buzzes. Major Smith again. Mr. Vaughn, step away from that train. The organism is using the electrical system to move infected material through the tunnels. That train is a dispersal mechanism. It's just a train. It's covered in mature fruiting bodies. If those doors open, the spore concentration will kill you in minutes. I look at the train. She's right. I can see the fruiting bodies now, thousands of tiny mushroom-like structures growing between the cars. They're pulsing slightly, ready to release their payload. But the train could also take us north. Toward the active stations, toward exits, toward help. How long until the foam deployment? 5 hours, 40 minutes. If I get Marcus to an active station, can you extract him before the foam comes? A pause. Mr. Vaughn, the active stations are being decontaminated. Anyone showing symptoms will be quarantined, not extracted. Your son will die in quarantine. Alone. Without you. But he'll die in a hospital bed instead of a tunnel. That's better. Is it? You can stay with him now. Be there for his last hours. Or you can chase a fantasy of rescue that doesn't exist and lose even that time. I hate that she's making sense. Hate that I'm standing in a fungus-covered tunnel holding my dying son while a military officer explains the mathematics of grief. The train's doors open. Not explosively, just the normal pneumatic hiss of subway doors. Spores pour out, a glowing cloud that spreads across the junction like fog rolling in from the ocean. I run, away from the train, away from the spore cloud, down the only tunnel that looks clear. Marcus's dead weight in my arms, not responding, just breathing those terrible wet breaths through the respirator mask. The tunnel slopes upward. That's good. Upward means toward the surface. Toward exits. My legs are burning. My lungs are on fire. I can taste copper in my mouth, blood probably from breathing the spores. But I keep climbing, keep carrying Marcus, because stopping means dying and dying means leaving him alone. The tunnel ends at a sealed door. Metal, rusted, covered in warnings about authorized personnel only. I set Marcus down as gently as I can and attack the door with my crowbar. The lock is old, weakened by decades of moisture and neglect. It takes 3 tries, but it breaks. Beyond the door is a stairwell. Old concrete steps leading up into darkness. No fungus here. The air smells different, stale but clean. Not infected. I pick up Marcus again and start climbing. The stairwell leads to a maintenance room I've never seen before. Old storage space, filled with equipment from the 70s, tools, spare parts, boxes of paper records that nobody bothered to digitize. There's a door with a crash bar, emergency exit markings barely visible through the grime. I shoulder through it and find myself in a basement. Above us, I can hear voices, footsteps, the normal sounds of people living their lives. We're under an office building, maybe, or an apartment complex. Marcus is barely breathing now. The respirator mask is full of blood. I pull it off and his face is gray, lips blue. The fungus has spread to his eyelids, his ears. But his eyes open when I touch his face. Dad! Barely a whisper. I'm here, buddy. We made it out. We're on the surface. He tries to smile. Can't quite manage it. Good. That's good. My phone has signal again. Full bars. I dial 911 with shaking hands. 911, what's your emergency? My son. He's infected with the fungal outbreak. Where at? I look around frantically for some identifying marker. We're in a basement somewhere in Lower Manhattan. He needs immediate medical extraction. Sir, all fungal outbreak cases are being routed to military quarantine. What's your location? I describe what I can see. The operator puts me on hold. I wait, watching Marcus struggle for each breath, while hold music plays in my ear. The operator comes back. Sir, a medical team has been dispatched to your location. They'll arrive in approximately 12 minutes. I need you to stay on the line. 12 minutes. Okay. I'm crying now, I realize. Can't seem to stop. Marcus, you hear that? Help's coming. He doesn't respond. His eyes are half closed, unfocused. The fungus is growing visibly now, spreading across his face in real time. I can see it extending tiny filaments, branching and branching again, creating intricate patterns across his skin. My phone buzzes with a text. Major Smith, I see you reached the surface. Medical team en route. I need you to understand what happens next. He gets treatment. He survives. No, he gets placed in medical quarantine. He dies there, probably within the next 2 hours. The quarantine facility is a converted warehouse in New Jersey. You won't be allowed inside. You'll have to say goodbye through glass. I stare at the text, then at Marcus. At my son, dying in my arms, his face covered in glowing fungus. What if I don't call the medical team? What if we just stay here? Then he dies in approximately 90 minutes. But you'll be with him. And you won't have to watch through glass while strangers in hazmat suits manage his final moments. Another buzz. Different number. An alert. Emergency broadcast. Shelter-in-place order for all Manhattan residents. Biological contamination detected in multiple locations. Do not use subway system. Await further instructions. Followed immediately by another. Subway system foam deployment advanced 20100 hours. All remaining personnel must evacuate immediately. I check my watch. 9:47 p.m. 3 hours 13 minutes. They move the timeline up. My phone rings. The 911 operator. Sir, the medical team is having difficulty accessing your location. Can you bring the patient to street level? I look at Marcus, at the stairs leading up, at my son who can't walk, can barely breathe. How many stairs? I ask. 3 flights to reach street level. 3 flights. I'm not sure I can carry him that far. Not sure he'd survive the trip, even if I could. Sir, can you bring the patient to street level? Another text from Major Smith. The medical team is also a containment team. If you bring him to street level, they'll take him immediately. You won't have time to say goodbye properly. You'll be detained for decontamination protocols. By the time you're cleared, he'll be gone. So what do I do? That's not my decision to make. But I can tell you what I'd do if it were my husband dying instead of your son. I'd stay. I'd hold him. I'd be there for every last second. The 911 operator is still waiting. Sir, can you confirm your ability to transport the patient? I look at Marcus. His eyes are open now, looking at me. Not focused, but aware. He knows what's happening. Knows what I'm deciding. Marcus, I say. Help's coming. But I need to carry you upstairs. Can you hold on? He tries to speak. Can't. Just shakes his head slightly. The message is clear. He can't hold on. Moving him might kill him faster. Sir? The operator's voice is getting impatient. We need to know if you can transport the patient. I'm supposed to say yes. Supposed to carry him up those stairs, hand him over to professionals, let the system take over. That's what responsible parents do. They get their kids medical help, no matter what. But Major Smith is right. The medical help won't save him. It'll just mean he dies alone, surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits, while I'm locked in decontamination. Sir? He can't be moved, I say. He's too unstable. You'll have to come down here. Sir, our protocols require all contaminated individuals be brought to street level for. I hang up. Turn off the phone. The decision is made. Marcus is looking at me. Those bloodshot eyes, still brown underneath the infection, still my son's eyes. He knows what I just did. Knows I chose this. Chose staying with him over chasing rescue that won't save him anyway. It's okay, I tell him. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. He tries to nod. The effort costs him, another coughing fit, more blood. But when it passes, he settles against me. His breathing is shallow, rapid. His skin is cold despite the fungal growth covering it. I hold him. That's all I can do. Hold my son and watch the fungus consume him and hate myself for every missed basketball game, every forgotten promise, every time I chose the job over him. The voices overhead get louder. Footsteps running. Someone shouts. The medical team must have arrived, must be searching the building for us. I don't call out. Don't make a sound. Just sit in the dark basement with Marcus, watching the glow of the fungus spread across his face, and wait. His breathing stops at 10:23 p.m. Not sudden, not dramatic, just slower, and then nothing. His eyes are still half open. The fungus is still growing, doesn't care that its host is dead. But Marcus is gone. I don't move. Can't move. Just sit there holding his body, feeling it get colder, watching the blue-green glow get brighter as the fungus converts his remains into nutrients for its own growth. The footsteps overhead eventually fade. The medical team gives up, moves on to other calls, other people who might actually be saved. My phone buzzes. I turned it off, but apparently Major Smith has access to some override system. The message displays on my lock screen, "I'm sorry." I don't respond. Just sit in the dark with my son's body and wait for the infection to finish killing me too. The fungus doesn't kill me fast. That would be merciful. Instead, I sit in that basement for 3 hours while it grows in my lungs, spreads through my respiratory system, slowly suffocates me the same way it suffocated Marcus. I can feel it, every breath getting harder, every cough bringing up blood and glowing spores. At midnight, my phone rings. Not a text this time. An actual call from Major Smith. I answer because what else am I going to do? Mr. Vaughn. Her voice is different. Tired. I need you to listen carefully. The subway evacuation isn't going well. We have approximately 1,800 civilians trapped in the system. They ignored the evacuation orders, or couldn't reach exits in time, or got lost in the tunnels. The foam deployment is starting in 60 minutes. Those people will die if we proceed. Why are you telling me this? My voice sounds wrong. Wet. Like I'm talking underwater. Because you're dying anyway. And because you know the subway system better than anyone on my team. We have satellite imaging showing a series of old pneumatic mail tubes connecting most of the downtown stations. The kind they used in the 1920s to move mail underground. But we can't map them, can't figure out which ones are still intact or where they lead. We need someone who understands the infrastructure. I'm in a basement somewhere. I don't even know where. I know exactly where you are. Broome Street, basement of a commercial building. You climbed out through a maintenance access that hasn't been used since the 70s. The pneumatic tube network hub is 40 yards from your current location. I look around the dim basement. See the old equipment, the stored records. See another door in the far corner, half hidden behind boxes. You knew about this access point. We found it 2 days ago while mapping containment zones. Sealed it off. But I can have someone unlock it. Why? Because 1,800 people are going to die in 47 minutes. And your son just died so you could save yourself. If you stay in that basement, both those things happen for nothing. It's manipulation. Cruel manipulation. Using my guilt over Marcus to get me to risk what little life I have left. It works. What do you need me to do? The pneumatic tubes connect to 17 stations. Most of the trapped civilians are concentrated in 5 locations: Union Square, Astor Place, Bleecker Street, Spring Street, and Houston. If we can guide them through the tubes to surface exits, we can evacuate them before the foam deployment begins. I can't guide anyone. I can barely breathe. You don't have to. Just map the tubes. Tell us which routes are intact, which ones lead to surface buildings. We'll send the evacuation orders remotely, guide people through with emergency alert systems. And if I'm wrong, if I map a route that's collapsed or flooded or leads nowhere, then people die. But they're dying anyway. This gives them a chance. I think about Marcus, about how he chose to die in the tunnels so I could live, about the 1,800 people who are trapped down there right now, waiting for help that isn't coming. Open the door, I say. She does, remotely somehow. The door in the corner clicks and swings open, revealing another maintenance tunnel. This one is clean, untouched by fungus. The pneumatic tubes run along the ceiling, metal cylinders maybe 3 feet in diameter, branching off in different directions. Major Smith talks me through it. Which tubes go where? Which junctions connect to which stations? I crawl through the access tunnels, following the tube network, mapping routes while my phone's GPS tracks my movements. The tubes are narrow, claustrophobic, but they're clean. The fungus hasn't reached here yet. And they do connect to the old stations, just like Marcus said. Just like the records Smith's team found suggested. Union Square route is clear. I rasp into the phone. Tube leads to an old mail sorting facility on 17th Street. Exit through the basement loading dock. Confirmed. Sending evacuation instructions now. I keep moving. Astor Place, tube intact, leads to a condemned department store basement. Bleecker Street, partial collapse at the junction point, but there's a bypass route through the auxiliary system. Spring Street, clear route to a building on Hudson that's scheduled for demolition, but still structurally sound. Each station takes 10 minutes to map. 10 minutes of crawling through darkness while my lungs fill with fluid and my vision starts to blur. The fungus is growing through my bronchial tubes now. I can feel it with every breath, foreign tissue expanding, blocking airways, converting my respiratory system into a breeding ground for more spores. Houston Street, I manage. The words come out garbled. Blood in my mouth. Mr. Vaughn, your vitals are deteriorating rapidly. You need to. Just tell me which tube. She gives me directions. I follow them, pulling myself through the access tunnels by pure momentum. My arms are shaking. My vision is tunneling. But I reach the junction point, trace the Houston Street tube to its terminus. Leads to old telephone exchange. Varick Street. Exit through. I can't finish. The coughing fit is too severe. Blood and spores spray across my phone screen, glowing in the dark. Mr. Vaughn? Derek? Exit through the basement stairs, I manage. North side of the building. Got it. That's all 5 priority stations. Derek, you need to get back to the surface. We can. No time. I check my watch. The numbers swim in and out of focus. 20 minutes until foam deployment. We delayed it. You bought us time. The evacuation is proceeding. Approximately 1,600 people are already in the tubes. We'll get them out. 1,600 out of 1,800. Not perfect, but better than zero. The other 200? Silence. Then, they're in stations we can't reach. Too far from the pneumatic network, or the routes are blocked. They won't make it. 200 people. 200 lives that my maps can't save. Like Marcus. I'm sorry, Smith says. You did everything possible. Did I? I keep thinking about all the other choices I could have made. Could have called the authorities sooner. Could have stopped Marcus from going down there in the first place if I'd been more involved in his life, known what he was planning. Could have saved those other 200 people if I'd mapped the tubes faster, found alternate routes. But I didn't. And now they're going to die. Mr. Vaughn, we're tracking a hazmat team to your location. They can get you to a quarantine facility. You might still what? Live another few hours in isolation? I laugh. It turns into a cough that brings up more blood. No thanks. I'm staying here. Derek, my son died in my arms 2 hours ago. I'm not dying in some warehouse in New Jersey surrounded by strangers. I'm done. I hang up. Turn off the phone. Sit in the dark tunnel and wait for the end. The fungus grows faster now. I can see it spreading across my hands in the dim light, blue-green filaments threading through my skin. It doesn't hurt. That's the strange part. I thought dying would hurt more. My phone buzzes despite being powered off. Emergency override again. A text from Smith. The first group just reached the surface. 247 people. They're alive because of you. Another buzz. Second group emerging now. 389 people. You saved them. Another, third group. 512 people total. Still coming. The numbers keep climbing. 678, 831, 1003. Each text is another life I saved. Another person who gets to see their family again, go home, live. It doesn't fix Marcus. Doesn't bring back my son or give me another chance to be the father he deserved. But it's something. It has to be something. The final text comes at 12:47 a.m. 1,641 civilians evacuated successfully. Foam deployment proceeding in 13 minutes. Thank you, Derek. Your son would be proud. Would he? I'm not sure. Marcus wanted me at his science fair, his basketball games. Wanted a father who was present, not a father who saved strangers. But maybe that's the point. Maybe being a good person isn't about perfect attendance at school events. Maybe it's about the choices you make when everything's falling apart and there are no good options left. I think about the pregnant woman who's alive now. The scared kid probably Marcus's age. The hundreds of people who get to go home because I crawled through tunnels while my lungs filled with fungus. It's not enough to make up for missing Marcus's childhood, but it's something. The foam comes at 1 a.m. exactly. I hear it before I see it, a roaring, hissing sound like a massive fire extinguisher. Then it's pouring through the tunnels, white and thick and suffocating. It fills the spaces between the pneumatic tubes, rises toward the ceiling, reaches for me. I close my eyes. Think about Marcus. About that moment when he looked at me and knew I was choosing to stay instead of chasing false hope. The moment when he understood I was finally there, finally present, even if I was decades too late. The foam reaches me. It's cold, thick, smells like chemicals and fire retardant and the end of things. My last thought is that at least Marcus wasn't alone. At least, at the very end, I was there. That has to count for something. I don't die. That's the first surprise. The foam fills my lungs, suffocates the fungus, should kill me. But the hazmat team pulls me out before it finishes the job. Drags me through the tunnels to an emergency extraction point, pumps my lungs full of oxygen and antifungal compounds that burn like acid. I wake up 3 days later in a quarantine facility. Not a warehouse in New Jersey, an actual hospital in Queens. Medical equipment beeping, for lines in my arms, a respirator mask over my face. Major Smith is there. Not in hazmat gear anymore, just a regular uniform. She looks exhausted. You're alive, she says. It's not quite an accusation, but close. Wasn't trying to be. My voice sounds like I've been gargling gravel. Probably because my lungs are destroyed, scarred from the fungus and the foam and the antifungal treatments. I know, but my team had orders to extract any survivors from the pneumatic network. You were too close to the hub. They got to you before the foam could finish. Lucky me. She doesn't smile. 1,641 people evacuated successfully. 159 confirmed dead in the sealed sections. Your maps saved approximately 91% of the trapped civilians. 91%. Should feel like victory. Feels like failure. What about the fungus? Contained. The foam suffocated it. Killed everything in the sealed sections, the organism, the infected hosts, even most of the bacteria. Those tunnels are sterile now. Dead zones. She pauses. Including your son. His remains were found in the City Hall loop. Or what was left after the foam dissolved the organic matter. Dissolved. Like Marcus was never there. Like he never existed. We'll have a memorial service, Smith continues. For all the victims. Your son will be honored alongside the others. Honored. The word tastes bitter. With a plaque somewhere? A moment of silence? It's all we can offer. The outbreak is being classified. Official story is a chemical leak. The fungus, the military response, the evacuation, all of it sealed under federal security protocols. The public will never know what really happened down there. Of course. Can't let people know their subway system was infected with a bioengineered fungus. Can't let them know their government sealed people in tunnels to die. Bad for public confidence. The families of the dead deserve to know the truth. The families of the dead are being told their loved ones died in a tragic accident. Carbon monoxide from a mechanical failure. Quick, painless. Better than the reality. I want to argue. Want to tell her that truth matters, that people deserve to know what killed their children, their parents, their friends. But I'm too tired. Too broken. And maybe she's right. Maybe the truth is too terrible to live with. I certainly am. They released me after 2 weeks. My lungs are permanently damaged, scarred tissue where the fungus grew, chemical burns from the antifungals. I'll need an inhaler for the rest of my life. Might develop lung cancer in 10 years. Might die from pneumonia in 5. The doctors can't say for sure. What they can say is that I'm not allowed to work for the MTA anymore. Medical discharge. Too high risk for underground environments, they say. What they mean is that I know too much, saw too much. Easier to pension me off than trust me to keep quiet. Jen meets me outside the hospital. First time I've seen her since the day Marcus went into the tunnels. She looks older. Grief ages you fast. They told me he died quickly, she says. Not looking at me. Looking at the ground. Carbon monoxide. Said he wouldn't have felt anything. Yeah, that's what they told me too. Is it true? I think about Marcus in my arms, coughing blood, struggling for each breath while fungus consumed him from the inside. Think about him dying slowly, knowing it was coming, too weak to be scared but aware enough to understand. No, I say. It's not true, but maybe it's better if you believe it anyway. She finally looks at me. Her eyes are red, hollow. Tell me what really happened. So I do. All of it. The fungus, the infection, the way Marcus died in my arms while I sat in that basement and held him. The choice I made to stay instead of chasing false hope. The way his last breath sounded, wet and desperate and wrong. She cries. I don't. Can't seem to manage it anymore. Something broke in that basement, and I don't think it's coming back. I'm sorry, I say when she's done. For everything. For not being there. For not saving him. You were there at the end. That's more than I got. She wipes her eyes. The lawyers want me to sue. The city, the MTA, someone. They say we have grounds for wrongful death. Do you want to? I want my son back. But since I can't have that, she shakes her head. I don't know. Will it bring him back? Will it make any of this hurt less? No. Then what's the point? We stand in silence. Two people who made a kid together, loved him badly in our own ways, and lost him to something we couldn't control or understand or fight. The funeral is Thursday, Jen says finally. Closed casket, obviously. Will you come? Of course. You don't have to. I know seeing his friends, the family, all of them knowing you were there when he... She can't finish. I'll be there. He was my son. I should be there. She nods. Leaves. I watch her walk away and wonder if that's the last time we'll ever speak. Probably. Nothing holding us together anymore except shared trauma and guilt. I get a job doing electrical work for a private contractor. The pay is shit, the hours are irregular, but it's above ground. I can't go into the subway anymore. Can't even look at station entrances without seeing Marcus standing there, covered in fungus, dying. The nightmares come every night. Marcus coughing blood. The pregnant woman trapped behind concrete, screaming for help. The 200 people I couldn't save, suffocating in foam-filled tunnels. Sometimes I'm down there with them, drowning in white chemicals while the fungus grows through my lungs, and no one comes to pull me out. 6 months after the outbreak, Major Smith visits me at the apartment I'm renting in Brooklyn. Small studio, nothing special. She's in civilian clothes this time. I wanted you to know, she says. My husband filed for divorce. Says I chose the military over him. That I only delayed the foam deployment because he was trapped, not because it was the right thing to do. Is he wrong? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. She sits on my couch uninvited. Would you have saved those people if Marcus wasn't already dead? If there was still a chance to save him instead? I think about it. Really think about it. I don't know. Honest answer. It's the only one I have. I sit across from her. Why are you here? Because you're the only person who understands. Everyone else who was there is dead, or they're pretending it never happened. But you and me, we made choices down there. Choices we have to live with. You made the right choice. You saved 1,600 people, and killed my marriage, and violated direct orders, and my career is over. She laughs bitterly. But sure, the right choice. We sit in silence, two people broken by the same catastrophe, trying to figure out how to live with what we did and didn't do. Do you ever wonder, Smith says, if it's still down there? If the foam really killed all of it? Every day. Me too. She stands. They sealed the affected tunnels, filled them with concrete. But spores are small, resilient. What if some survived? What if it's growing somewhere else, somewhere we don't know about? Then more people die, and we do it again. Make the same choices, live with the same guilt. Is that supposed to be comforting? No, it's supposed to be honest. She leaves. I don't see her again. Here later she moved to Oregon, took a job with civilian emergency management, trying to save people without the military protocols that cost her everything. The subway reopens 8 months after the outbreak. New trains, clean tunnels, enhanced safety protocols. The public never knows why it was closed. Chemical leak, they're told. Routine maintenance. Nothing to worry about. I ride it once. Force myself to get on at Court Street. Ride to Atlantic Avenue. 2 stops. 5 minutes. The whole time I'm hyperventilating, seeing fungus in every shadow, smelling spores in the recycled air. I get off and throw up in a trash can. Don't try again. Marcus's science fair project was about bioluminescent organisms. I find that out going through his room with Jen, boxing up his things. He'd done research on mushrooms that glow in the dark, written about how they use light to attract insects that spread their spores. He would have been fascinated by the fungus that killed him. Would have wanted to study it, understand how it worked. That's the worst part. He died to the exact thing he was passionate about. I keep his research. File it away with the maps I made of the pneumatic tubes, the maps I still update whenever I find new access points. 19 so far. 19 ways out if it ever happens again. When I can't sleep, I walk the city at night. Map the subway entrances, the old buildings with basement access, the forgotten infrastructure that might save lives someday. People think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. But I know what's down there. I know what can happen when systems fail and authorities decide some lives are worth more than others. The pregnant woman I helped save sends me a card a year later. Gives birth to a healthy boy, names him Derek. Says she wanted me to know that her son is alive because of me, that every day with him is a gift I gave her. I put the card in a drawer and don't look at it again. Can't stand the weight of that gratitude when Marcus is dead and I couldn't save him. Jen stops returning my calls after 18 months. Can't blame her. Every time she sees me, she sees the person who was there when Marcus died. The person who couldn't save him, but somehow saved everyone else. I'm 33 years removed from the subway now. Work electrical jobs, pay rent, exist. The lung problems get worse every year. The doctors say I might have 5 years left, maybe 10 if I'm lucky. The fungal damage and chemical burns are catching up. I don't mind. 5 years is longer than Marcus got. Longer than the 159 people who died in the sealed sections. Every day I wake up feels stolen from them. But I still keep the maps. Still mark the exits. Still document the pneumatic tubes and maintenance tunnels and forgotten passages that might matter someday. Because Major Smith was right. It might not be gone. Spores are resilient. And the city has 1,000 hidden spaces where things can grow in the dark, waiting for the right conditions. When it happens again, and it will eventually, in a city this old and complex, someone needs to know the way out. I'll be ready, or I'll be dead. Either way, the maps will remain. The knowledge will persist. The exits will be marked. That has to count for something. It has to.